What is going on, guys? Hey, listen, I'm getting my streams live. So I've got a little bit of the plague going on right now, guys. So if I sound a little bit uh, um, sick or whatnot, I am. It's okay. That's why I'm doing this by myself. I don't have any special guests on today. Hey guys, listen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Real Talk Mondays. We're going to dive into today's topic about small business problems. I'm currently reading a book. Actually, I'm going to grab the book because it's a good read, and I want you guys to get something out of it. I'm reading the book called The E-Myth. It's a really good read. Started it yesterday, and I I'm a big reader, but I'm not. I don't like to read. I am a creature of habit. I like to do audios, and on this one, I just started reading, and it really started hitting home because it talks about the entrepreneur myth. Most people that are watching this are in business. They've started business. They've been in a business. And just like me, started a business about almost 3 years ago, got into real estate, never been in real estate. And, you know, if you guys have read this, I've done all three. I had entrepreneur seizure, and we'll get into that here in a minute about what that actually means, the entrepreneurial seizure. I started in real estate about 2.5 years ago, almost 3. March will be 3 years for me. What's up, TJ, Chris, Kyle? What's going on, guys? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. But I started about almost 3 years ago. March will be my 3-year anniversary in real estate. And I started this business with chaos, right? I didn't know anything about anything. And I started with a big box company, and they're like, hey, smack me on the ass and said, good luck, boy. And man, so all I did was I started reaching out to every single person that I knew. Well, long story short, you know, I've been a part of now over $85 million worth of real estate transactions. I probably had, $10 million worth of real estate transactions that have fallen through. It's just part of the business, and we've helped over 310 families at this point in time. What's up, Maida? Maida knows the struggles of that, but my first year was just true chaos and thinking that I knew about business. I didn't know anything about business. I started as a solopreneur, and then I started a team and started leveraging it out. And I'm a control freak, right? Most of us are type A personalities. If you're looking at a disc profile, we're high D, high I's, and I'm like 99% on the D spectrum. So I'm a control freak by nature, and so learning how to leverage the business and learning how to grow the business was hard for me, right? So if you hadn't read this book, it talks about what an entrepreneur does, what a small business owner does when you first when you first start. And it talks about there's 3 different types of personality types, and the 3 business types are the entrepreneur, right, the manager, and the technician, right? So the entrepreneur is the visionary. It's the one that's thinking big. And I've always had an entrepreneur mindset, but I just never was I didn't start a business until I was probably 25 or 26. And now I'm 28. I'm going to be 29 next year, and I'm really starting to understand the grasp of true business ownership. And if you guys are going into work every single day, and with the days that you take off, you're not earning any business, you're working at a job, right? I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and he was talking about how his entrepreneur game plan, his business that he started, it's not worth anything. He put it up for, you know, he asked a business coach on what the business was worth, and it wasn't worth anything. It was worth the material things that he owned, you know, just computers, laptops, things of that nature. And he's been doing $400,000+ worth of revenue, and he thought that he had a business that was a business, right? Well, he didn't. He had a job, because the difference between a business and a job, if you can't leave that business for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, then you're at a job. If you have to be present in order for your business to run, then you go into a job every single day. And guys, I've worked a job for the past 3 years. I've worked a job for my entire life. I've worked at a job. I have not truly ran a business. Running a business is it's a skill set. It's a learning curve, and most people do not have the business mindset. So I'll walk you guys through the 3 personality types in this book. The first one is, once again, I said the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur, like I said, is the visionary. They're thinking down the road and writing down goals, and they're creating they're a trailblazer. They're a catalyst. They're setting the world on fire. And the entrepreneur is the one that is terrible at cleaning up behind them. They always leave a mess behind them. They're always in a situation to where someone's having to clean up. Then you've got the manager. The manager is the person that is by the books. It's always looking in the past, not looking in the present or in the future, but they're looking at and trying to create and fix those problems, right? They're the order takers. They're the high SCs in the world, if you're familiar with a DISC profile. The manager is the one who keeps everything together. There's a quote in this book, and he talks about how the entrepreneur is the one who goes out and builds a home, goes through the entire process, and as soon as it's done, they're focused on the next home, right? The manager is the one who builds a home and lives in that home for the rest of their life. I just built a home. We closed on it in July, and I'm already now thinking about our next home, right? Like, I've got a beautiful house. I'm sitting in it right now, and I'm thinking of what all changes that I could do, everything that I could change about the house. And it's funny because I'm like, look, I just closed on this house. But that's the entrepreneur mindset that I have. I'm always thinking forward. I'm thinking about things that I would change. Oh, if I knew this, I would have done this, right? I'm looking at my front yard and I'm like, I wish I could have changed this. I wish there wasn't any hill whatsoever. And so I'm thinking on the next house. So the entrepreneur is always thinking of the next move, thinking of the next idea, thinking of the next situation, right? And the manager is the one who's keeping everything going, right? If you're thinking about bowling, the manager is the, whenever you have the kids, what are they called, Brian? The little things, the gutter that make sure the ball doesn't go in the bumpers. They're bowling bumpers, right? That's what the manager is. The manager is the bumpers that keep everything in path. Without a great manager, you're always going to be in a situation of either dreaming, or you're always going to be in a situation where you're having to clean up the mess. And then you have the technician. It's so crazy when you look at everything. I mean, I've lived all 3, but I am a prime example of a technician. What's up, Hunter? What's up, Gary? I'm the true example of a technician. A technician is the one who's task-oriented, who's always doing the work. The technician doesn't need to be managed. They don't want to be managed. They want to work. That's what they do. They live to work, and they are goal-oriented, so they want to know exactly where they're going, and because they're always working forward and they're trying to get things done. They are the lifeblood of the vision. They're the present. You've got the manager, they're the past. They're always looking at the past, looking at, ways to fix the past. Then you've got the visionary, that's the entrepreneur, and then you've got the technician. The technician's the one in the daily grind that's doing it every single day. So I've been a technician for the past 2.5 years. I've been actively involved in my business. So in 2019, I made a goal that I was going to step out of production and that I was going to leverage out everyone's strengths, and I was going to build the team to where this was a business that was running itself, and then I could teach the team to elevate, and that way they can step up in their own leadership. So in the book, it talks about the do's and don'ts, right? So just think about this: if anyone is watching this, Give me a comment below on what type of business you're in, and if you're in the same situation to where that you are the technician, you are the manager, so you're the one that's keeping everything keeping the boat running. If you leave, everything stops, and you do things better than everyone else, right? So if you're the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician, comment below and tell me what your business is, and kind of explain your thought process on that. So yes, Chris, job is just over broke. And that's very true. So the goal of this podcast today is to open everybody's eyes about this, and so that they can understand that the real power, the real problem of a business is you're just getting by, just over broke, whatever you want to call it. There's no exit strategy, right? And as a true visionary that understands how to manage it or understands how to leverage out their weaknesses, that's one thing that in this book, it's talking about how everyone is just driving themselves down. Like in the past 2.5 years, I probably put 5 or 6 years onto my life. I will probably die 5 or 6 years earlier than anticipated because I have been driving and all through, like I talked about it on one of my videos a couple weeks ago about organized chaos. Well, I used to live a life of just chaos. I would be working on contracts, and then I would have listings, and I would get so under the gun that I wouldn't follow up with those listings, and then I would have sellers that were upset with me because I haven't talked to them, and I just didn't have enough bandwidth to cover all those. Who's watching this now that has been in that situation to where they're spread so thin that they're borderline ready to stop business because they need a break? And that's what happens is most people won't get out of that. They won't leverage themselves out. They won't fill in those weaknesses, right? Jason, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They won't leverage themselves out of it, and so they'll always be in it. So eventually you're going to get so burnt out that you're in a scenario where you're either going to go back to adolescent stage where it's just you, or you're going to go, finally, you're going to be like, man, I've hit my breaking point. I've hit my wall. I've hit my ceiling, and now I've got to have help. If anyone knows me, they know I'm not the most organized, and I don't enjoy the paperwork aspect of real estate. I just don't. I like the client interaction, and I like the sales interaction of it. That's what I'm good at, right? So, and earlier this year, I started fresh, I started all over, and I hired a full-time transaction coordinator to go out and manage the transactions once they were under contract. Absolutely, Jason Dillon, my boy Jason, he goes out and he said, build a business, not a job, and that's very true. You've got to build something worth stepping out of. You know, I mean, all great CEOs, build that situation, and that's why you see the top companies, they'll get new CEOs. You know, I mean, eventually you have to replace yourself in every avenue. So like for me, I understand all aspects of real estate. I understand the prospecting, the ISA, OSA. I understand the listing part. I understand showing houses. I understand the administrative part. I understand the scheduling home inspections. I understand title. I understand all those. So I get it. Like, and I've been in it, and I've worked myself to death trying to be, a master, or they say a jack of all trades, but a master of none, right? Well, I'm definitely not a master at paperwork. I'm not. I know how to do it. I mean, I could do it, but I don't enjoy it, so I've leveraged that out. So if anyone's just now tuning in, we're talking about small business problems and how to get yourself out of those small business problems. Are you seeing comments on there? I don't know if everything's popping up. What's up, Tanner? Anyhow, so what people have to realize is they're eventually going to have help. At any point in time when you're growing a business and you're trying to scale that business, there's going to be a point in time when you walk out of I'm better at everything than everybody, and there's going to be a situation to where you finally getting to the point. Are you getting a spin? Okay. there's going to be finally a time where you get to a point where you're like, okay, hey, I'm to the point where I'm spread so thin, I've got to have someone to help out. And that's called leveraging out your weaknesses, leveraging out where you need help the most. Sorry about that, guys. My computer started on spinning. But that's where I've always struggled. I'm a control freak. Anybody with that type A personality. In fact, I posted this book and I had a bunch of people comment saying, man, that's an impactful book. It helped me out a lot. And then so I just finished another book. It was the Millionaire Real Estate Team, and I've implemented and started changing, things in my business that has helped me grow in a short period of time. Like I've grown more in the last 90 days than I have the past 2 years, because I'm starting to understand to grow and scale, you've got to have people that are going to help you, and you have to build from the bottom up, right? You have to rise and you have to build people up. Like I will have agents that start with me now that will become the future leaders of the business, and I already have. I've got people that are taking ownership because they want to be a part of something too. And anyone that's in your business, those are people, like you have to start identifying and finding people that's in your business that are going to be the people that are going to be with you for the next decade, right? Those are people that are going to be your future, executive assistants, or your future business partners, or your future leaders or trainers or sales developers, whatever that is. They're going to know the business from scratch, and they're going to develop with you. So if you put them in the right situation, that's when you're going to have extreme amount of growth. But I encourage anyone that's watching this, if you are running a business to where you're running all three roles, you've got to stop. You got to stop. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to die doing this, or you're going to go out of business. It's plain and simple. That's why 400,000 small businesses close every single year. 400,000 small businesses close every single year. Take that into consideration. How many of you guys know somebody that started a business, maybe started an ice cream shop, or started, some type of business, and within the first year they're out of business? Or maybe they made it to year 2 or 3 and then they went out of business. Maybe they made it 5 years, but can they make it the next second half decade? That's what we're talking about here. Right now we're in the baby phase. We did 160 transactions this year for just shy of $40 million worth of real estate business, but we're still in the infant stage. We're still in the situation to where if my people left, or if I left, would it still run in the same situation? If you're running a business and where you go out and you get sick for 30 days, is your business still running? Right? If you're in that business, you've got to scale, and you've got to either get out of your business, or you're just going to stay a small business for the rest of your life. We talk about shopping local. Well, we also need to talk about hey, if you're going to run a business, you got to learn to leverage it out to where you can grow, if that is your goals. And I know, I'm looking at a few people and that's joined in, a bunch of real estate agents, cars, things of that nature. When you start to learn and understand the business aspect of what is going on in your daily grind, then you're going to start to understand. So I hit 70 pages on it, and it gave some really good examples, like McDonald's, right? Mr. Kroc, the guy who started that and started leveraging it out, and he started buying all the properties. And he was just talking about how you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to go out and scale that business, right? You're only going to be able to go so far until one day, man, boom, out of business, right? On your third business, right? There's a lot of people that are going out and doing things and it's not working. So moral of the story is, guys, if you're watching this, grow it. You've got to identify which part you're good at. So I'm terrible with financials, right? So I've had 2 meetings this week with bookkeepers. I couldn't tell you what my customer acquisition cost is. I couldn't tell you to the T what my monthly spending is. I can tell you it's over $20,000 every month, but I couldn't tell you to the T. I just know roundabout between X amount and X and Y. And then at that point in time, it's going to be it was liberating for me to identify that, hey, I'm not having to do this alone. And now that I've got a sales team that gets it, that's bought in on the bigger picture, now I'm starting to see those guys thrive. And now I'm starting to see, like when I first got into the business, if you did 15 transactions in your first 12 months, that was considered really good, and that still is. That's considered a win. My guys are under the expectations that they're going to be doing 50 plus transactions a year. I mean, really. I think when I was sitting down talking goals, one of my agents wanted to do 40, and one wanted to do like 50 to 60, and one of them was talking about like 100 transactions in a year. So they're elevating their game up. But in order to be able to do that, they've got to go out and once again, even in that spot, they've got to identify, am I going to be the technician? Am I going to be the entrepreneur? Or am I going to be the manager? Some of those people that are in your organization may not work out in certain scenarios. You may have a salesperson that's not the best at sales. There may be a higher SC that ends up being a great leader in the company, or a great transaction coordinator, or a great administrative person. And that's where you're just going to have to identify the strengths and weaknesses of people. Any questions on this? Let me see here. Oh, I lost my live feed. Sorry, guys. Nonetheless, though, it's really cool, guys. So I encourage anybody that's watching this that in 2019 that you identify, you put a game plan. So like me and Erica are going to Chicago at the end of the year, and we're taking 3 days off, and we're going to go out and write down our year goals and filling out our calendar. We're going to go out and I'm going to go out and identify my scheduling for all year. I'm going to have all my calendar filled prior to. So I'm going to go out and fill out every appointment that I'm going to have for my brand ambassador program. I'm going to have all my scheduling for our client appreciation event scheduled before January ever starts. I'm going to go out and have all those events booked in advance, so that now that we can go into execution mode. Now the technician can go out and thrive and leverage out what the weaknesses are. I know a bunch of people that have tuned in, and I know that most of you guys deal with this on a daily basis. I know that. I know most of you guys are in the exact same situation. So, guys, if I can give you guys a little bit, we're going to have to tune out because I've got another meeting, so we're going to have to cut this one short today. I encourage you guys to either commit to growing and leveraging your business. Learn this. If y'all haven't read this, this is a great read. It is called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It talks about how to get out of the small business mindset, how to grow and leverage yourself, how and when to make additional hires. And I think that's most people's problems. They don't have the structure of when. I still deal with it every single day. I'm like, when should I make that other hire? I've got an EA position that I'm trying to fill, and then hiring a virtual assistant. And I'm like, oh God, do I do it? When do I do it? You just got to make that commitment. I've got to make that commitment to actually act upon it and actually get it done. So, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This was Real Talk Mondays. We come live every Monday. Last week we came in on Tuesday, but I was sick. I'm still obviously trying to fight this off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys realize that you guys can get out of the small business mindset and grow. If y'all have questions about this, if you have comments, concerns, if you want to know what I'm doing, what our team's doing to leverage it. We're growing so fast. I went from a 2-person team to a 4-person team, 6-person. Through my company, now we're about to be at 15 people in the office. By the end of January. So if you guys want to know exactly what we're doing to have that kind of growth, comment below. You can message me. You can reach me. You can send me a direct message here. You can reach me at my cell. It's 865-320-3496. Hope that was valuable to you guys. I hope you guys crush this week. This is the last week before Christmas, so I hope that it's going to be a busy one for you guys. I hope y'all have a busy business week this week, and I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Thanks so much.